Hey guys, Toby Mathis here, and I want to answer a simple question. Right now, it is mid-June of 2021, and should I be investing in this housing market? And the answer is, as always, is it depends on what the numbers tell you. I can say this, that we are really low on inventory right now. So we have a lot of buyers, low inventory, and especially in certain areas like the kind of living homes, the first homes under 200,000. We're seeing a lot of issues. You've heard about BlackRock coming in, a huge fund, buying properties 10, 20% over fair market value as part of a single family resident portfolio to be a landlord. You see people just not having housing available. Part of this is because of the pandemic, not enough foreclosures, maybe some of those being delayed. Also, you can't remove tenants. So you're seeing rents go up, you're seeing the cost of housing go up, and you're seeing a red hot market. Then you also have the materials just aren't around. So lumber prices, for example, up hundreds of percents, 600% just for the cost of materials. You talk to somebody about getting simple things like a granite countertop in, and it's astronomically more expensive. I just talked to a builder yesterday, and we were talking in the Las Vegas area who's currently building, and what they're saying is big delays in building, and the cost per foot of a house has literally gone up about 100%. So it's pretty much doubled in the last year. And it's just matter of fact, right? So when things are more expensive, which you call it inflation, things are more expensive right now, right? Then then it becomes a question: is will it come back down? And so, am I buying at a peak? And the way it's looking right now, you might see some adjustment, but there just isn't inventory and there just isn't material. And maybe that'll fix itself within a year, but it's not going to be a, hey, the pandemic's over fix. It's going to be a long term because we're continuing to see these prices. We're continuing to have this demand. And what happens when you don't satisfy demand is it continues to get more and more pent up. So do you see this like being a flash in the pan? No way. Is this going to be forever? There's a good chance that we're looking at some pretty extreme inflation. One of the big questions is what's the Fed going to do about it? Since one of the basic ways you fight inflation is by increasing interest rates. Are they going to have to increase interest rates? And if doing so, would that harm the economy as a whole? And so you're seeing this balancing. We're coming out of a pandemic. You've seen the economy really hammered. You've seen employers having to deal with the worker issue. The government paying people to basically stay at home with unemployment. And I know what people are going to say. It's not happening. It's happening. Every employer that I talk to, and I have hundreds, if not thousands, that are in part of our network, we're hearing the same thing, which is it's really expensive. And then it also is expensive to retain your employees. You saw the highest number of people ever leaving employment, quitting their jobs and going elsewhere. And people are saying, no, they're quitting it to stay at home. They say, if you're going to make me come to work, I'm just going to quit. That's not true. What they're doing is they're taking other opportunities. There was over 9 million jobs available. You had less workers than that and that were available. So like you could have filled every job and had 100% unemployment in theory. The numbers are saying something along those lines, but there's a reason that you only had 500,000 people pick up in the last month. The reason that you saw that pickup is because it's not worth it for people to go back to work yet. Eventually, it will be. Now, this goes into something else that I think is really interesting, which is this calls for a $15 minimum wage, which won't mean much in San Francisco or New York, but might mean something in the Midwest, right? Because we're already seeing that. I'm in Las Vegas, and I could tell you that everybody out here is struggling to find workers because the last time I calculated the numbers, the average amount of federal unemployment and state unemployment per state was $16.88 an hour. And that's with the reduced amount of federal aid, the $300 a week, as opposed to the $6. So like there's already a minimum wage out there. People would be crazy to go work for $15 an hour where that they're paying tax on when the unemployment, the first $10,200 isn't even taxable. You don't have self-employment tax, which is old age disability survivors insurance. You don't have Medicare on that. You don't have all the withholdings that you're normally dealing with. So you end up doing a lot better off if you just take the aid, and that just makes sense. Like I'm wondering why people wanted to argue and make it a political issue. It's like, well, it just makes sense. So what that's done is it's pushed up the starting salaries anyway, the starting wage, hourly wage for sure. And most companies, including us, we have about 400 employees. We've seen our cost of labor go up dramatically over this last year as there's a battle for retention. And I think you're going to see that in the next year. I think you're really going to see that. So, all that's going to blend in, and it's going to continue to support higher rents, higher home prices. So again, is it the right time to be buying? I'm not going to say it's the wrong time to be buying. I'm going to say that there might be adjustments coming in the future in the next 6 months to a year, maybe, but it's not going to be anytime soon. From what I can see in the numbers, and again, I'm just one human being, and I could absolutely be wrong, but I'm not seeing it. I see that the amount of inventory is at all-time lows. I'm seeing that interest rates are really low. I'm seeing that the cost of materials are really high, which means it's not going to be a quick fix. Absolutely not. So, it's looking at it, make sure you're not chasing things, make sure that you're not completely overpaying and that you're comparing. This is the most critical component that I look at, is I tend to look at the price of a house compared to the cost of actually renting that similar property. And so if you start seeing the houses get way out of whack, like we did in 2007 and 8, where the cost of the houses was way out of whack compared to the rental market, that was telling us that it was artificial. I'm not seeing that this time. I'm seeing that the cost of the house compared to the rental market, that they're both up. And that just tells me that housing isn't overinflated. It's just telling me that there's really strong demand and not enough inventory. And if that's the case, then we're not going to be out of this anytime soon. So if you're looking for a house, you just kind of compare. Would I be better off renting? And if it's equal or better to purchase, and it's going to be a long-term purchase, then by all means, I'd still do it. But you got to be making sure that you're not overpaying. You're not artificially overpaying because of some hype. And again, I could just use Las Vegas 2007 as a great example, since I was moving down here at that time. And you could rent a house for about half of what it would actually cost you to buy it. When you're looking at the actual cost of ownership, the interest and the property taxes and everything else, these properties were just way overinflated. That is not happening this time. Absolutely not. So that just tells me that it's not overinflated. You just still got to do that comparison and then make a wise decision.